I have to make a confession to you right off the bat today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because if we're going to be totally honest about today's topic, I really need to lay my biases on the table right here at the start.
I think that's entirely fair. Go for it.
So when it comes to dreams, I've always held this pretty cynical, um, almost dismissive view of them.
Right, which is incredibly common.
I mean, I have them, sure. We all have them.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes they're absolutely terrifying, or sometimes they're hilarious, or, sometimes I'm suddenly taking a high school math exam in my underwear.
The classic anxiety dream.
Exactly. But mostly, I just forget them the literal second my feet hit the floor in the morning.
Just completely wiped from the hard drive.
Totally gone. And for my entire adult life, I've operated on the assumption that dreams are just the brain's equivalent of taking out the trash.
The whole biological defragmentation theory.
Right. The prevailing cultural idea that sleep is just when the mind sorts through the day's mental garbage.
Yeah.
The random noise, the anxieties, the leftover pizza you ate too close to bedtime.
Yeah, just neurological noise. Nothing more.
But then we dive into this stack of material we have for today, specifically the writings of Jane Roberts and the entity she channeled, Seth.
And he has a very different take.
A completely different take. He talks about the dream world not as some biological quirk, but like it is a literal, tangible, real place.
Yes. He repeatedly calls it a creative laboratory.
Right. So I have to pose this challenge to you right at the beginning. Is this just a beautiful, poetic metaphor designed to make us feel better about spending a third of our lives unconscious? Or is he actually genuinely serious about this?
He is entirely serious, and I completely understand that initial skepticism. I really do.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
It is, because it's exactly how the vast majority of us in the modern world are conditioned to view sleep. We treat it as an annoyance.
Like a biological tax we have to pay so we don't collapse.
Exactly. But to set the stage for you, and to immediately answer your question about whether this is just a metaphor, let me read a direct quote from the source material.
Please do.
Because this really shatters that assumption completely. In the book, Seth, Dreams and Projections of Consciousness, he says this.
Okay.
When I speak of the dream world, I am not referring to some imaginary realm, but to the kind of world of ideas, of thoughts, of mental actions, out of which all form emerges.
Wow. Okay, so out of which all form emerges.
Right. There is absolutely no metaphor there. It is a literal mechanical description of the foundation of existence.
So he is proposing that what we call reality doesn't start here in the physical world.
Exactly. He's saying it starts there, in the dream.
Okay, we need to unpack that because that is just a massive claim.
It changes everything.
It really does. So welcome to this deep dive, where our mission today is to completely and permanently transform how you view sleep.
We really want to flip the script on this.
We are taking it from what you might currently think of as a nightly retreat into idiocy, or like a small death where your consciousness just powers down like a laptop.
Right. And we are going to reframe it as an active, vital exploration of a highly functional, objective reality.
Because if we navigate this material correctly today, by the time we are done, you might just realize that going to sleep tonight is the most profoundly productive thing you will do all day.
I love that. And to even begin to understand how sleep could be productive, we have to look at the foundational mechanics.
The mechanics of how this material describes reality.
Yes. Seth divides our entire experience into two primary areas. He terms them Framework 1 and Framework 2.
Okay, let's define these clearly. What is Framework 1?
Framework 1 is the world you and I are currently operating in. It is the physical, everyday, linear reality.
The world of alarm clocks and traffic jams.
That's right. And gravity. In Framework 1, cause and effect absolutely rule the day, and time dictates everything.
So it's linear. A leads to B leads to C.
Precisely. If you want to build a physical structure in Framework 1, say, a house, it requires an immense amount of time and physical effort.
Yeah, you have to draw the plans, buy the wood, hire the contractors.
Hammer the nails, and wait months for it to be finished. It is a reality defined by sequence, delay, and physical labor.
I see. It's the world of heavy lifting, friction, and waiting in line. Everything takes effort to manifest.
Exactly. And then there is Framework 2,
The dream world.
Right. Framework 2 is the underlying psychological medium. It's this vast mental environment, or what the material sometimes calls the spacious present.
The spacious present. That's a great phrase.
It is. And the critical defining difference between the two frameworks is that in Framework 2, there is absolutely no time lag between a desire and its actualization.
Wait, no time lag at all.
None. Thoughts, feelings, and intents instantly form into what are described as psychological objects and environments.
So they materialize immediately upon conception.
Yes. The physical events you experience in your daily life, the encounters, the opportunities, the crises, they are actually the final manufactured products of the dream world.
Let me try to map that onto my own understanding, just to make sure I'm grasping the scale of this.
Of course.
Because I like analogies. If Framework 1, our physical reality, is like sitting on the couch in your living room watching a television program,
Okay, I'm with you.
then Framework 2 is the bustling production studio behind the scenes.
That is a phenomenal analogy.
It's the place where the script is being written, where the actors are rehearsing their lines, where the sets are actively being built.
Yes, and where the broadcast signal is actually generated.
Right. As the viewer on the couch, you don't see the studio. You just see the polished final show.
Exactly. But without that chaotic creative studio happening behind the scenes, the television show wouldn't exist at all.
Framework 2 is the studio. Framework 1 is merely the screen.
It captures the dynamic perfectly. And what happens when you go to sleep is that your consciousness leaves the couch, walks out of the living room, and steps directly onto the floor of the production studio.
So you are entering the space where tomorrow's events are being drafted and debated.
And rehearsed, yes.
Okay, if that's the case, though, we run into a pretty massive contradiction here.
What's that?
Well, if Framework 2 is this incredible, highly functional production studio where the blueprints of our lives are drawn up, why do our dreams seem so absolutely bonkers?
That's the logical next question.
I mean, a production studio is organized, right? There's a director, a script, a schedule, but my dreams are rarely logical.
They are incredibly fluid and bizarre.
Yeah, and heavily symbolic. Like, why does my living room suddenly turn into a dense pine forest?
Or why are you having a depth conversation with a childhood pet?
Right, or my third grade math teacher while we're both trying to ride a bicycle that's melting. If this is a functional laboratory, why does it look like surrealist art?
It's a great point. That perceived chaos is entirely due to the speed of the medium.
The speed.
Remember, creations appear instantly in Framework 2. Dreams represent the raw, fluid, creative energy of consciousness before it slows down.
Before it hardens and crystallizes into physical facts.
Exactly. In our waking world, a thought has to go through a massive deceleration process to become physical matter.
It has to navigate time and space.
And collective agreement. In the dream world, you are witnessing this energy in its native, fast-moving state.
So it's just raw creation happening at light speed.
Right. And the reason it seems chaotic or absurd to you when you wake up is that you are taking the rigid, linear rules of the physical living room and trying to apply them to the studio.
You're trying to force a non-physical experience into a physical box of logic.
And it just doesn't fit. The waking ego is very provincial. It only understands what it can touch and measure.
So it's essentially a translation error. The dream makes perfect sense while I'm in it.
Usually, yes. It feels completely natural in the moment.
But my waking brain, which only understands cause and effect, tries to read the memory of the dream and scrambles it.
That is exactly it. When it tries to process an environment where thoughts instantly become physical environments, it feels overwhelmed and categorizes it as nonsense.
That makes so much sense.
But within the dream state itself, the principles of value fulfillment and pure action have greater reign, totally unhindered by the slow manifestation of physical growth.
Hold on, I need to stop you right there.
And I get too technical.
Just a bit. This is where we might lose people and want to make sure I completely understand. You just dropped two massive terms.
Value fulfillment and pure action.
Yes. What do those actually mean in the context of me sleeping in my bed? Explain those to me like I'm 5.
I apologize. You're absolutely right to stop me. Those are dense concepts in the material, specifically detailed in dreams, evolution, and value fulfillment.
Let's break them down. What is value fulfillment?
Value fulfillment is the idea that every unit of consciousness, whether it's you, a plant, or even an atom.
Even an atom.
Yes. Every unit has an innate driving desire to explore all the possible variations of its own existence.
So it wants to grow, to experience, to fulfill its unique potential.
Precisely. In the physical world, exploring your potential takes time. You have to go to school, get a job, make mistakes.
It's a slow burn.
Right. But in the dream world, Value fulfillment can happen instantly. You can live out an entire lifetime of probable choices in a single night.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a superpowered simulator for potential lives.
Exactly. And then there's pure action.
Right. What is pure action?
Pure action simply refers to action that hasn't yet been forced into a physical form.
Give me a visual for that.
Think of it like water before it freezes into ice.
Okay.
In the physical world, action is the ice. It's solid, it's limited, it has a specific rigid shape.
But in the dream world?
Action is pure, flowing water. It can become anything instantly. The slow, physical manifestation of growth that we are used to in Framework 1 is replaced by instant psychic materialization.
So an almost unbelievable depth of experience is possible in what seems like just a fraction of a second to the waking brain.
Exactly. The waking brain just can't measure the depth of pure action.
I see. But I do have to push back on this a little bit because I am still carrying some of my original skepticism.
Bring it on.
Let's talk about a very specific common dream experience, the flying dream.
Oh, classic.
When I have a dream that I am flying, which is this incredible visceral feeling, I've always been taught by modern psychology that this is just a disguised psychological mechanism.
Right, a metaphor for something else.
Exactly. Freud or Jung might say it means I want to escape my waking responsibilities.
Or maybe you're feeling an inflated sense of achievement at work.
Right. Or I'm just trying to relieve stress. My brain is basically running a simulation to help me cope.
The traditional psychological view.
Doesn't that view that my brain is just using a metaphor to manage my stress make infinitely more sense than the idea that I am literally bending interdimensional physics in some objective reality?
It might seem to make more sense to the waking ego.
Are you really telling me it's not just a fantasy?
I am telling you, based strictly on the mechanics laid out in The Nature of Personal Reality and the other texts, that it is absolutely not just a psychological fantasy.
Really? Emphatically no.
Emphatically, no. When you fly in a dream, you are not merely entertaining a symbolic representation of a waking life desire to escape your boss.
Then what am I actually doing?
You are actually exercising what Seth calls your inner senses.
Inner senses, like hearing and seeing, but internal.
Exactly.
How?
Just as you have physical senses to navigate physical reality, your consciousness has inner senses to navigate non-physical reality.
Oh, wow.
When you fly in a dream, you are experiencing true freedom from the physical laws of Framework 1, specifically gravity and spatial distance.
So I am manipulating energy in a way that is native to consciousness when it isn't tethered to a physical body.
Exactly. It isn't a metaphor for freedom. It is the literal experience of freedom from physical constraints.
That is wild.
It is actual training and rehearsal for the larger reality of your being.
That is a staggering paradigm shift. It completely flips the script on how we prioritize our existence.
It really does. Because it means the dream isn't a pale, distorted shadow of waking life.
Waking life is actually the crystallized, slowed-down shadow of the dream.
Yes. The material insists that the waking state is actually a specialized, highly focused extension of the dream state.
So the world is formed from the inside out.
In the most basic, mechanical way, yes. You are dreaming reality into the physical one.
The blueprints for your daily life, your major decisions, your health, they're drafted in that inner universe first.
In the dream state, before they ever drop down into physical manifestation.
Okay, I'm tracking with the mechanics now, but I have to admit, it's very easy to get lost in the sheer cosmic theory of all this.
It is very lofty.
Yeah, I mean, Framework 2, inner senses, pure action, it sounds magnificent and expansive.
But how does it apply to everyday life?
Exactly. How does this apply to a normal, flawed, struggling human being? To really ground this philosophy, I think we need to look at Jane Roberts herself.
I couldn't agree more.
She's the woman who actually channeled the Seth material and wrote these books. And her life proves this isn't just an abstract theory, it's a lived experience.
Looking at Jane's life is crucial because it takes these vast, sometimes overwhelming metaphysical concepts and shows them operating in a deeply human context.
It totally demystifies the process. What I find so compelling about Jane's story is that she wasn't some untouchable guru.
Right. She wasn't sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop meditating for 20 hours a day in perfect peace.
No. She was a writer, a poet. She was living a very normal, somewhat gritty life in upstate New York in a town called Elmira in the 1960s.
She was struggling to pay her rent. She was dealing with everyday human anxiety. She went to the grocery store.
And initially, she was a massive skeptic about anything paranormal or esoteric.
She didn't want to believe any of it initially.
When her psychic experiences first began, She wasn't instantly enlightened. She was terrified. She literally thought she was losing her mind.
And that profound skepticism is exactly what makes her journey so reliable to the rest of us.
Right, because she's coming at it from the same angle we are.
Exactly. But what's really important to understand about Jane's relationship with dreams is that long before the Seth personality ever appeared in her life, she was already a remarkably prolific dreamer.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that predated the channeling.
It did. She possessed this deep, unexplainable intuition that her dreams were significant. For years prior to her channeling, she kept detailed, meticulous dream journals.
So she was already tapping into framework too, even if she didn't have the terminology for it.
Yes. The point here is that Seth didn't invent her dream life or bestow some magical power upon her. He simply validated what she already intuitively knew.
He provided the framework literally for her to understand that these nightly excursions were objective, creative events.
Not just random neurological misfires.
That's such a great distinction. She already had the raw talent, the innate connection to the studio, but she lacked the operational manual.
Exactly. And once this material came through and explained the mechanics, she stopped just passively experiencing her dreams.
She began to actively use them as a practical tool. She didn't just sleep anymore, she went to work.
She utilized her dream state with incredible intention. As a novelist and poet, she began using dreams for direct writing inspiration.
So she would intentionally go to the studio to get material for her book.
Yes.
Yeah.
She would consciously go into the dream state with the intent to solve complex waking world problems, to work through emotional roadblocks.
And even to glimpse probable futures to help her make decisions.
Exactly. She learned to treat her dream environment as a vast, interactive library of inspiration. Her active dream life profoundly enriched her physical, waking reality.
So it was never an escape from the world for Jane. It was a method of deeper, more effective engagement with it.
Beautifully said. Yes.
But I think it's also vital to note that this practice didn't magically make her life perfect or shield her from suffering.
No, not at all.
The sources, particularly the nature of personal reality, detail how she dealt with severe physical symptoms later in her life.
Yes, she suffered from terrible rheumatoid arthritis and a failing thyroid condition.
There were times she spent weeks in the hospital undergoing endless, painful, humiliating tests.
It was incredibly difficult for her.
Yet even in the midst of that intense physical limitation, she was actively using her dream life.
She wasn't just dreaming of being healthy as a form of wishful thinking.
Right, it was practical.
She was using the dream state to process her underlying fears, to seek the psychological root of her physical condition.
And to actively try and alter the blueprints of her health in framework too. She dreamt of walking freely, of dancing, of being completely unburdened by her joints.
And according to the mechanics we've discussed, those weren't just comforting fantasies.
They were actual interventions.
Yes, they were her psyche's literal attempts to construct a healthier blueprint in the spacious present of Framework 2.
With the intention of bringing that altered energy back into the physical crystallization of Framework 1.
Exactly. Whether she was fully successful or not in reversing her physical condition, the application of the theory was consistent. She was working in the studio.
Which brings us to the most important pivot of this entire conversation.
Let's get practical.
Because Jane Roberts dedicated her life to this exploration, and she wrote volumes about it. But how does someone listening to us right now actually utilize this?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because it seems to me that all of this profound creative power, this vast, omnipotent mental studio, is completely and utterly useless to you if you wake up every morning with a blank mind.
It is useless, practically speaking.
Right. If you don't remember the blueprints you drew up in the night, you can't build the house in the morning.
That is the crucial bottleneck. The bridge between the two frameworks is memory.
Memory is the bridge.
Yes. If you cannot pull the memory of the dream across the threshold into waking reality, the conscious ego cannot benefit from the work done in the inner state.
So how do we cross that bridge?
Seth provides a very specific, highly practical methodology for bridging the gap between Framework 1 and Framework 2.
Okay, I'm taking mental notes here. What is the actual protocol?
It is surprisingly simple, but it requires a very specific type of mental discipline. First, you must establish physical intent.
Physical intent.
You must designate a physical notebook and a pen, and you must keep them right by your bed within arm's reach.
Okay. Pretty standard dream journal stuff so far.
But this next part is absolutely vital. This notebook must be used exclusively for your dreams.
Exclusively.
Yes, you do not write your grocery list in it, you do not write your daily to-do list in it, or your work notes.
Why is that exclusivity so important? Why does the paper matter?
Because by giving it an exclusive purpose, you are creating a psychological anchor. You are dedicating a physical object in Framework 1 solely to the reception of data from Framework 2.
You are signaling to your deeper consciousness that you're taking this seriously.
Precisely.
It's like dedicating a specific secure phone line just for the studio. When that line rings, the brain knows it's not a telemarketer. It's the inner self calling.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Yes, it's a dedicated line. Then comes the second step, which is the pre-sleep intention.
What do I need to do before I fall asleep?
Tonight, before you fall asleep, as you are in that relaxed state just drifting off, you gently say to yourself 3 times, I will remember one dream.
Just, I will remember one dream.
Or you can phrase it, I can remember my dreams and write them down in the morning.
Do I need to, meditate on it for an hour?
No, and in fact, you shouldn't. You don't have to shout it as a command, and you definitely shouldn't be tense or anxious about it.
So don't force it.
Right. If you make it a stressful demand, your ego gets involved and blocks the process. It should be a firm, gentle, confident suggestion delivered to your inner self.
You're simply setting the dial on the receiver before you go to sleep. Okay, so the phone line is installed. I have the dedicated notebook. I've set the gentle intention. The studio knows I'm ready.
You are set up for success.
Then what happens when the alarm goes off in the morning? Because this is where I usually fail.
This is the critical moment. This is where the practice is made or broken. We call it the waking protocol.
Okay, walk me through it.
When you wake up, before you move your physical body in any significant way, before you open your eyes fully to let the light in.
Wait, before I even move.
Yes, and absolutely, before you speak a single word, you reach blindly for that pen and you write down anything that is in your mind.
I need to stop you there. Why is staying perfectly still so crucial? I usually wake up, stretch, roll over, and check my phone.
And that is exactly why you forget your dreams.
Seriously. Just moving ruins it.
Because physical movement instantly anchors your consciousness back into Framework 1. The moment you stretch your legs, roll over, or especially if you look at a glowing screen.
The phone is the dream killer.
It absolutely is. Your consciousness snaps fully and completely into the physical body and the physical room. The dream memory operates on a much more delicate, faster frequency.
So it's instantly shattered by the dense physical data.
Exactly. It's like trying to hear a whisper next to a jet engine. So you must stay perfectly still, hovering in that hypnopompic twilight state between waking and sleeping, and you capture whatever is there.
It's almost like trying to hold water in your hands. If you move too abruptly, it all slips through your fingers.
You have to stay perfectly still to keep the water pooled in your palms.
You know, I've actually noticed this phenomenon myself, even before I read this material.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If I wake up and immediately think about an email I have to send, or if I complain to my partner about how tired I am, the dream vanishes.
It's gone forever.
Instantly deleted. But if I just lie there in the dark for a second, the images stay a bit longer.
And when you reach for that pen in the stillness, you write down whatever fragments are left.
What if it's just nonsense?
It doesn't matter. Even if it is just a single image of a yellow flower, a fleeting, unexplainable feeling of sadness, a fractured word that makes no sense.
Or just a color.
Yes. Do not judge it. Do not try to interpret it yet. Just record it.
I love the simplicity of this, because it acts as a profound psychological bridge.
It really does.
By treating the dream as important enough to record before you do literally anything else in your physical day, you are signaling to your inner self that you are finally ready to listen.
You are opening the door to the inner universe.
You are essentially telling your subconscious, hey, I actually value what you are doing in the production studio. Show me the scripts.
That signal of value is everything. And that leads us to a crucial caveat from Seth's teachings, which I think will relieve a lot of anxiety for people trying this.
Oh, good, because I'm already feeling performance anxiety about tomorrow morning.
Don't. This caveat completely removes the pressure of performance. Even if you wake up, lie perfectly still, reach for the notebook, and realize your mind is completely, utterly blank.
Which happens to me a lot.
You must still open the notebook and write down the phrase, I don't remember anything.
Wait, really? I just write down that I failed to remember. How does that help?
It isn't a failure, and writing it down is a vital mechanical step. The physical act of writing that sentence, combined with the pre-sleep intention you set the night before, actively exercises the muscle that connects waking and dreaming consciousness.
So even if the bucket is empty, pulling it up from the well still strengthens my arms.
That is a perfect way to look at it. It proves to your inner self through physical action in Framework 1 that you are committed to the process.
The intention alone, backed by the physical action of picking up the pen, strengthens the bridge.
Exactly. Over time, as you consistently perform this action, that bridge will widen, the resistance will lower, and the memories will absolutely start flowing across it.
Wow. Okay, so if you are listening to this right now, here is your direct call to action.
This is your homework for tonight.
We challenge you to implement this immediately. You don't need any special equipment. Go find a notebook. It doesn't have to be a fancy leather-bound journal. Just a dedicated pad of paper will do perfectly.
Put it on your nightstand with a pen that actually works.
Right. Test the pen first. And tonight, as you are falling asleep, repeat the gentle mantra, I will remember one dream.
And tomorrow morning when you wake up, don't stretch, don't grab your phone, don't speak.
Just grab the pen and write. Even if it's just a doodle of a cloud, a feeling of anxiety, or the words, I don't remember anything, do it. Prove to your inner self that you are ready to see the studio.
If we commit to this simple discipline, we begin to participate consciously in the creation of our own reality.
We stop being victims of circumstance, simply watching the broadcast on the couch.
And we start becoming the architects of our own experience. We start attending the production meetings in Framework 2. We gain access to the blueprints.
I have to tell you, my own perspective has shifted profoundly just by having this conversation today and truly unpacking the mechanics of what is happening when we close our eyes.
It's a lot to take in, I know.
It is, and it took us a while to get here, and I started out incredibly skeptical. But the logic of the inner studio makes so much more sense than the idea that a third of our lives is just biological dead space.
It's a huge waste to think of it that way.
I have a profound new respect for sleep. It is no longer this annoying biological necessity that keeps me away from my waking work.
It is a vibrant, vital, creative necessity.
It is the real work. It is where tomorrow is actually being constructed.
And what we have covered today is merely the foyer of the building.
Really? There's more.
Oh, this is just the beginning of what the inner self is capable of once you establish that bridge. Next time we sit down, we are going to explore the senses you forgot you had.
Those inner senses we touched on briefly today.
Yes. We're going to dive deeply into the mechanics of clairvoyance, telepathy, and direct knowing.
Oh, wow. That's going to be intense.
And we will see that according to this material, they are not supernatural gifts reserved for a chosen few mystics.
They are your natural biological birthright.
Exactly. They are simply the tools your consciousness uses every single night when it isn't tethered to the physical brain.
I genuinely cannot wait to dig into that. But for now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over as you drift off to sleep tonight.
Let's hear it.
If the mechanics we've discussed are right, if the physical world you walked around in today is just a mass shared dream that is slowly hardened into matter, then when you close your eyes tonight and slip into the dark, you aren't leaving reality at all. You are finally stepping into the real workshop where reality is made. Sleep well.